with Wolfpack.
Who's always streaming?
I don't know what happened.
Lobby and start game mode. I don't know why he's not doing it.
I think he's waiting for all. Yeah.
There we go.
There we are.
What are we gonna run? Who am I playing DPS with?
Me.
So you're playing Hanzo, should I go Genji? Was it Genji? That's the other one? I can't remember. I'm gonna go check.
Cool. What do you want me to play?
Killer.
D-base combo. Widow, Genji, Tracer, Pharah, blah blah blah, Hanzo, Jug. Second, is a slash. So yeah, you should go Widow, Genji, Tracer, Pharah, Sombra.
Maybe Ana, if you can Ana.
Wait, what am I going?
Widow, Genji, Tracer, Pharah,
Matt, we
Sombra.
need an off support.
Yeah, no. What do you want?
And off support. Pick one.
Oh, that didn't work.
Alright, the comp is looking pretty good right now.
Oh, that was so close.
What?
Nearly got on the hook.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna go Zen. But I get the discords.
Group up at corner.
Now, did you switch to Zen from Lucio just to boost out the team? If so, then that was really good on your part.
Go for Gita.
You Genji discorded?
Grab the Genji. Hold on.
Alright, make sure your both tanks are playing together. It looks like it looks like Ryan just charged out or is too far at this point. Ryan, just make sure you turn around and make sure your team is with you.
Moira at their entrance. Get the Moira.
Because right now you're down. That puts the team in jeopardy a little bit here.
Yeah, we can hear you. We're already in our first
Make sure you call out this target. Genji's a target right now.
That Genji will not leave me alone.
Now this is a reset. Just fall back. Good job, Zarya.
I'm gonna get ult and switch to Pharaoh.
Okay.
Ooh. So, Snake Boy playing Hanzo. You poked out when you really don't need to. Just wait for your tanks to come out and to respawn before you move in. I wouldn't even, like Zarya right now, you guys shouldn't be poking out at all. That alt charge on, like, that you're trying to get isn't worth it. Instead, their team is also getting alt charge.
Push up with Oblivious, guys. Push up with him.
His shield's
Good
low.
ult.
Genji was low. Genji's literally one. Literally one.
So somebody's calling out Genji, but then nobody's actually going for Genji, right? Like, or Zarya's going out for somebody else. You guys are still playing individual targets, and if you guys are going to call out targets, then you need to follow up on them.
I'm going Pharaoh now.
This is a reset for your team.
Dead.
I'm gonna pop ult. Hazard, we can combo.
Yeah, okay. I'm not far off.
So if you're going to go Pharah, Ana, if you use your ult, you should switch to Mercy.
Yeah. I have a transcendence we can use.
I'm just gonna mow down the barrier.
I think Genji's left. Genji.
You guys are not waiting for a full 6 before you guys move in, and luckily your Zarya's right behind, but make sure your whole team is there before you guys push forward.
Point, guys.
You got Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't hear any targets being called, and Zen, you're being attacked, and you're not calling out the fact that you are being attacked, so your team can peel for you.
Alright, we need to go for point. We don't really have much of a choice here.
Yeah, we got a bunch of ults. But...
They're one down.
Oblivious, we need to go for point, bro.
I'm dead, dude. Like, we should have grabbed before. Like,
Yeah, you guys need to get on point right now.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
point, get the point, get the point, get the point.
Okay,
We should just go
this
straight
is too
for point,
low.
not fight off it.
Well, I got pushed off.
So you guys are playing a pretty staggered game in this first round, and there's no targets being called. Even if when targets are being called, nobody's actually going for the targets. So make sure you guys are all on the same page and attacking the same targets.
Compliment for Hanzo.
I'm gonna change from Hanzo to Junk.
Yeah. Who goes with Junk?
It's the same mix-up. Widow, Genji, Tracer, Pharah, Sopra.
So if we're playing Pharah, you should definitely try and play Mercy or swap off of Pharah. Alright, there you go. However, your comp with this map, I'd want to play maybe like Orion would switch to Orisa and then Diva would switch to Hog, because you guys want to utilize this this map as much as possible by playing those heroes that kind of pull other enemies into the pit.
Will you guys know me? No. You can watch that if you want.
They're going right, apart from tanks. Tanks are going left. They've split up.
You got Brigader in the small room. Brigader in room.
Kill up, kill up.
Yeah, Brigader dead.
That's good targeting.
Davy's in here as well now.
Got the Hanzo.
Oh fuck, I messed up.
However, you guys aren't calling the right targets right now.
Genji's in here.
You guys need to kill the healers first.
Heals
Got
Junk,
the
heals
Orisa.
Junk.
Genji dead, Genji dead.
And once the healers go down, everybody else will kind of fall.
Alright, that's good. No, it's a good point. Everyone fall back to point.
So I don't think you guys need to play the point right now. A couple of you guys can push forward, just intimidate them a little bit, because they are staggered. And now right now you're giving them a chance to kind of recuperate.
Careful over there. Tracer.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, she's almost done.
Yeah, they're almost dead.
Thanks for the heals.
Tracer just blinked in. Genji's on site. Genji's low.
Genji's dead.
Tracer's here.
It's very good target calling right there since he was extended.
Moira. I'll probably die for it. No.
No, I got
their
moved.
deep back off.
Tracer dead.
Yeah, good job.
And your diva is doing a really good job of recognizing who's low and then going after it. So Diva or your Rhine should probably be doing the target calling, and then everybody else would follow suit. This Lucio here is just feeding their team.
Push myself off there.
Feeding your team, rather.
I got pushed off.
Okay, so here you used your Diva bomb, and Tracer used their ult. You guys need to time your ults better. I noticed you haven't been pressing tab at all, so you have no idea where your team's ults are sitting at. Make a habit of pressing ult. That probably goes for all of you guys. I doubt any of you guys really press your tab button very often. Make sure you guys are paying attention to where your team ults are at, so that you guys can communicate who should be using ults, and you guys aren't wasting like double ults, because right there, I think you guys are up already, and then you threw your ult in. She used her ult, then you guys are down a few ults here.
It was a worthy sacrifice.
If you press tab here, maybe you can see where you guys' ults are at, but I don't think you're going to.
Gotta watch out for this fucking Lucio bit as well.
I don't know why they switched off Brigitte. Tracer's
Try
going
to in a
left side.
room. Get triggered.
Tracer's on left side.
Shield's going down. Shield's down.
They're on point. They're on
We
point.
can find a side now.
You need to not be targeting the diva and just go for their healers.
My own.
I didn't get anyone.
Oh
D-Mac.
fuck. Yeah, Davy's demaced. Davy's dead.
Just get the Lucio. He's so fucking.
Moira's
Lucio dead.
one. Moira's one. Moira's
He's
one.
on the wall.
Got Moira.
Yeah, I knocked him.
Good job off.
Really good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
Still seeing you guys targeting individual targets, so I'd like to see you guys both like all target one target at a time. It just ensures the team goes down faster. When you have like multiple people on different targets, people go down a lot slower.
The strong rat. That's good.
I don't know why I'm having frame rate issues.
I always have frame rate issues.
IMF
an issue, that's for sure.
Oof.
Bro, I got gold healing. You want me to stop healing?
Bro, I've got gold elims.
Good for you.
I do as well.
I've got objective time.
So you guys are running. You guys are running 2 main heals right now. You guys have no defensive ult, by the way. So I'm hoping that one of you guys switch if you do notice that you need the defensive ult, like for Genji or Pharah.
I have gold objective kills.
I have bronze. I had gold.
Fuck, what is bronze?
You-
5?
I have silver objective
Okay.
kills.
Okay, now you guys are together.
I gotta go up the stairs.
Let's together a bit.
I can't.
I'm on point.
Make sure, Diva, you play with your tank.
Yeah, they're all up top side.
I'm doing a hard flank.
If you playing with your Ryan, you do a little bit better because Ryan's playing up close and you're kind of shooting from the back here.
Limb's AFK.
Get that Genji, get that Genji. Genji dead.
They're
Genji
one
dead.
down, guys. Guys, they're one down.
Try to keep it alive.
Not very low.
There aren't any really target calling right now.
Round of mech, Dave, round of mech.
Take her out.
You guys want to stagger the Stiva?
I'm on Zen.
Head deep round a point, then you get the point.
Where the hell's that soldier?
Just running around the point.
I'm still not hearing any of your healers calling for peels at all. If you guys are getting attacked, make sure you are calling out for help. Even if you don't think you can survive, that way your team knows that you're down and they can play a little bit more reserved to change their gameplay to accommodate.
Pause as soon as he went AFK.
I'm 50.
That's
Like,
Shield down as quick as I can.
the shield though, she melted.
Northern. One better than here.
It's message me just in Discord.
Torture.
Reinhardt. Jesus,
Oh,
what are
fuck. Reinhardt's there. Take 3. Oh, fuck. The Reinhardt's there.
Reinhardt. Jesus,
Oh,
what
fuck.
are you doing?
I should have done that. I should.
So it looks like you overextended, but you recognize that. So you guys, even though you died, Oblivious, you need to call out the fact that you did die and that you guys are running 1 tank. It's just so your team can change how they're playing right now.
David dead.
David dead.
I've got
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Just drop out.
This is a reset.
I can't get
It sounds like you guys recognized that and called it out immediately.
Pushing, nobody pushing.
So Anna, just fall and play safe.
Oh, Genji's right there.
If you can get a pick, yeah, let's
Oh,
go.
nice.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's go.
I've nearly got David bomb.
I'm pretty sure he's got shadow.
Yeah, we got a flank as well.
Maybe shield's going out, though.
Sorry, I woke him. Get this
Okay.
Genji.
I need heals up top. Someone,
Oh my
please.
god, he's
behind us,
very low.
Genji's
He's
behind
very low.
Heals, please, please.
Where are you?
Remember, call who you are.
Exactly. If you need heals, make sure you call who you are. It's really confusing for your healers to kind of like panic and look around for you.
Just, on the...
Guys, I nearly one-clipped their Moira. What the fuck?
I'm on Brigitte. Okay.
Nice, guys.
Nice,
Careful, careful.
nice.
Fall back on the point, fall back on the point. They're all coming main door.
Ryan's in main.
Yeah, I'm just popping.
Now you have your ult, but I don't think you've looked for a tab yet. So I don't think you know like where your team's at in terms of ult.
Along with Genji.
Where's over here?
And make sure you communicate your ult usage. Like, let the team know when you are thinking of using your ult, just so that they can coordinate with you.
You're all over here. Brigitte behind. Someone going up top. I'm gonna go check who it is.
I'm with you, Oblivious.
They got a Reaper now.
I'm
Reaper's up
Belgian
top
shield.
behind us.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck, he timed
Should've
that
done
very
that.
well. Jesus, I was walking on the fucking Reinhardt.
They have a
Right
Reaper.
away,
This is a hard reset.
Genji's on me.
So Diva, you need to die immediately.
It's okay. Nice
I was
pulse.
trying to run so far when you you ran in the reaper.
Tracer, you probably shouldn't have really used ult. Your entire team died. There's no way you would have survived that. It's just better to save your ult, and then just wait for a full regroup, and then you guys can claim it immediately.
Moira, they don't really have
You still have time since they are only at 50%.
The Moira's coming back right now.
We have a bunch of ults.
Gonna have Blade behind us to
They're back now.
Yeah, go.
Getting healed.
So again, you guys don't look like you aren't really going for the right targets, and make sure you guys go for the smaller targets, your healers.
Run hot.
Yeah, run set. Get this Reaper, get this Reaper, get the Reaper.
See, like, once you guys start calling those targets, you guys take them down so fast. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
It's alright, we got
I've got
point.
Tyre. Run and get him as they're grouping up.
So your positioning right now is perfect. You want to play right here at the choke when you're at 90% because you want to try and prevent them from coming in, giving them that walk.
Oh, no!
That Genji's purple.
Nobody, you guys just completely gave away your point. You guys had everyone there. Yeah, exactly.
Take it back easy.
Get this Reaper, get the Reaper, get the Reaper. Get the Reaper, I'm eating his ult, I'm eating his ult.
I think it just means that your team needs to just have a better team awareness of your surroundings.
I have Nano again.
And you really lucked out because the other team probably wasn't looking at your team comp very well. They didn't know who the carry is on your team, and then didn't adjust their team to accommodate that.
Ship's on.
Moira, she's the main hit.
Look, I might.
So then it's good.
Hold on guys, hold on.
We're defending first. What should I play?
What do you want me on?
Okay. Boop.
Livius, you wanna play the poop game again?
We both lost the last boop game because the fucking McCree stole the play of the game.
Yeah, that was bullshit though. He fucking, I
Guys,
pooped like
what are we
2
getting at
people and he
meta on?
flashbanged and got them both.
Ana wouldn't be bad as well, if you can land your sleeps.
Try.
She's just so
Gotta be
fucking
careful
strong
of
at the
those
moment.
flanks, though. You could just go around us.
I mean, I can sit around the side and make sure no one comes around.
This is a fine team comp. However, I get a little bit hesitant to play Hanzo if you don't have the Zarya with you. And then Mei, playing Mei here is fine, but I'd definitely switch off of Mei after if they cap this first point here.
Actually, I think I'm gonna go back and switch to Widow. Because
Alright.
Yeah, I think Widow would be a better pick here as well.
Am I invisible?
I'm just gonna kill myself real quick.
What do you mean?
I'm
Alright.
invisible.
Zion, you wanna quickly go back and taxi him halfway?
Yeah.
Go Widow.
Let's go. Quick.
I don't have it in 2 seconds.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm good now.
Well, actually, I'll go sit on this side.
Yes, nice finish, Ana.
Yeah, they got Pharaoh.
I'm asleep. Oh! You nearly got it,
Oh.
man.
Oh, that was so close. I don't have booping for another.
Pick.
Ah, fuck. Genji's behind. Genji's behind us.
I got a boop. But I'm dead.
Killed the Zarya. Perfect headshot. Their Ana has landed so many sleeps on me so far.
Genji's 1 and purple.
Oh no!
Oh, that's unfortunate.
We're out.
I got slept.
So you guys, whoever's up there, the 2 or 3 of you guys that are up there, you guys need to fall back until your tanks get back. Because right now, they have a ways to push before they reach that end point. Like, look at this here. They still have a ways. You guys have time to wait for a full regroup because there's no way you can like really defend that without a full team.
You sure?
You guys have nothing but squishies up there. So now you're staggering. So you guys notice that you guys are, yeah, you guys your healers are going down. Then everybody back here also still needs to fall back because you guys can't defend this without healers. Like they barely reached that choke point right there. So you guys definitely have time to wait.
Oh, fuck off with your sleeps, bro.
Got Soldier.
Job.
Oh,
Go.
fuck. I didn't think you were gonna
Got
sleep.
Genji.
Nice.
You guys have walls now.
Matt, tell me when shield bashes back up so I can hook that Ryan.
The Ana's half. Ana's still
Go
low.
back up.
Ana's one.
So if you pull a front line up to you and you actually get that hook, make sure you call that so that your team can follow up and kill that Ryan.
Oh, she had a berry up there.
Careful how close we're getting. Close.
Careful on this door, careful on this door.
Watch right side as well. They might flank to get me.
So I'm not sure because you're playing on this side, but I'm really hoping your team is kind of playing this choke right here so that they can tell you if there's somebody is coming this way, because that way if somebody is, they can tell you and then you can be prepared for that.
Yeah, Ryan's coming top door.
Fuck,
Ryan's
why
coming
did
door.
I shoot?
Get his Zarya. Nice, nice.
Behind.
That's big.
I've nearly got ult.
Oh,
I'm down.
Oh, that's sleep!
Oblivious, when your health is going down pretty slowly, just make sure you call it out so somebody can definitely heal you or at least stand by you to body block some of that damage. This is a hard reset.
I got slept. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck.
Okay, I
Someone
got
come
you.
help. Or do you?
Okay,
I don't think you guys can really capitalize on that, so you're gonna need to fall back. Ideally, you'd be pressing tab right now to kind of see what they have. Because somebody needs to determine who the problem is on the other side, and then one of the DPS would need to switch to accommodate that. So May ideally would be the one to switch.
Good ult, good ult, good ult.
So we can just hold it on this bridge. It'll be good.
So we can still take
So I'd push up a little bit to the choke point, because you guys are giving them a little bit of space to move up.
Yeah, I'm all
This is a good wall.
Just careful, Bailey.
Yeah, bro. Oh, fuck, I nearly fucked that up. I could've got that Ryan there.
So Hog, you're playing a really dangerous game right now because you're playing a flanking Hog. You really probably should be playing with your tank.
I got that
And then right there, whoever May, you walled somebody off. Just make sure you call that out so that they, or you call out the fact that you are gonna wall so that they're prepared to kill whoever is on the other side of the wall.
Who do you want the
Ryan
nano?
push it up here.
We can use it on me when I ult if you want.
Bear in mind, they can come around behind you, May.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. Don't worry.
Genji's
I'm
saw
gonna get
Genji
this
up
run
top.
again.
I got Andy healed.
Shield him one. There we go.
Oh, fuck, I fucked that up.
This is a good time to use your ult. There you go.
Oh, that fucking sleep.
Now remember, if you're asleep, make sure you tell somebody that you're asleep so they can stand over your body. It just helps ensure that you stay alive.
Ryan. Nope.
I got that soldier.
Stay low.
I got that soldier. I'm still contesting.
Fuck. Genji's like 20 behind, guys. Don't worry about it.
Well, they all focused
I got
on me
my
and not
ult now,
Card,
though.
so.
It's fine. It's fine. We managed to waste a lot of time. How do you heal yourself?
So you guys are kind of trickling right now. Again, they have a ton of time to push through. You guys really need to wait for like full regroup before you push out like that, because you're just staggering. It's causing the team to it's just causing the team to like lose if you lose that point if you guys don't actually wait.
Press E on someone that heals them.
This is also not an ideal location, like playing up top. You guys should be playing this bottom choke here.
Me, like myself. Like when I'm there alone.
Oh my god, I've just missed so many
That
shots from
soldier's
Zarya.
so low. Fuck.
Oh, what the
Fuck.
fuck?
I ran out of
Very
barrier.
soldier.
The Genji's on me.
Did the soldier die or what?
We're coming back.
Soldier,
Okay.
soldier killed himself.
I'm in trouble here, boys. I need healing.
I got a healing pack. I can
No.
heal you. Just stay still.
I'm dead, bro.
Healing pack's up.
So I think like Hog, I think maybe you didn't know your entire team was kind of down, but that's not on you because I mean, maybe it is on you to pay attention to the kill feed, but your healers, like, your healers really need to call out that they're dead, so people don't keep pushing forward. So right now, like, you have time to wait. Just wait and get back, because now you're pushing forward. They're barely past that choke point. Same with you, May. So this is not, do not waste your ult here. Just wait for your team. So now you're wasted, and then your team isn't even there yet.
We stall.
Way
We
to
stall.
defend this.
We stall.
You can try.
If you're gonna try and stall, then the Brigitte probably need to go Lucio if that's what you guys really wanted to do.
We still got someone on there?
Don't go for that. You're just speeding to them because your entire team's dead. You just switched heroes. It's not like you have an ult either.
Holy shit. That soldier's aim.
You guys are definitely staggering so much here. Arissa, you might want to switch to like a Rhine, just so that you're playing a little bit more aggressive here.
Genji's hit.
Right now, shield. 2 seconds.
So if you notice, if you like Arissa, Arissas tend to just fall back a little bit, so it's really a good habit if you're trying to just stall times to play Rhine.
Get this Ryan, nice.
Get them all. Get them all. They're all frozen. They're all frozen.
Genji's behind. Genji's behind.
Fuck.
Where is he?
Guys,
Genji ult.
use grab orb.
I don't have grab.
Grab orb. I don't know, suck up orb. Whatever the fucking orb's called.
Okay.
This is definitely a reset here.
I think I'm gonna change to Ryan.
We need to use Nano more often, guys.
Use it to heal if you have to.
So they had a Genji, right? And you guys all just died to a Genji ult. And you guys didn't have a defensive ult, so one of your main healers, Moira or Ana, need to switch to Zen. And actually, like, at this point, since they're pushed out so far, somebody needs to go Lucio instead. So just to stall the point as much, because now you guys are playing for time. Their time is wound down. You just want to make sure they don't cap it and they stay at 0.
Nice.
Fuck,
Hold on, we
let's
still
go.
got Moira on site. And Genji.
Moira's low. There we go.
Moira should probably not be the last one to die. Moira ideally is the first one to die in this comp group.
Kill him. Kill him.
Oh.
Someone.
We
I had to
can't.
reload, man.
We couldn't get through.
Yeah, the main wall.
You guys are not calling out targets.
He's low. Ryan's low.
Your
Soldier.
healers are dead.
Yep,
Your healers are dead.
that's okay.
Soldier, can you heal the team?
Yeah, nice. At least it's not a full push, we can win.
I'm gonna make sure you guys do call out targets. Even if there's just like 2 or 3 left, you guys need to call out the targets. You can't afford to not call out targets just to risk the fact that you guys aren't actually killing them.
I'm gonna go jump rat.
Do you want me to go Diva to help you with the Winston, or do you want me to go Ryan? Help
Yeah,
push
if
the
you
car?
want, man. I mean, if
You
you go
guys are gonna
Diva,
go
we can
back.
just jump their backline.
I'm gonna go Doomfist and I'll go in with you guys.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because if we just jump their backline, their tanks are gonna have to turn, everyone's gonna have to turn.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna play dive tank or dive, then your healer should probably be a Mercy, by the way. And then instead of Lucio, I'd go Zen.
Like Moira.
I really hope one of you guys are switching off though. Okay.
Play on. What's that?
So yeah, if you're gonna go dive, I wouldn't play Moira just because Moira's kind of harder to reach your dive.
But except for I'm gonna.
Moira can fade to you guys, but that's not ideal because once she uses fade, she can't use it for like the cooldown's up and she won't have an escape plan. So if you play someone like Mercy, at least you can escape back to your non-dive heroes like Zen.
Lose.
Yeah, we're
Just
not
to try a
gonna
strat that might not work.
What do you guys think this thing here is? The portal looking thing?
Where?
I don't know.
That
Maybe
thing?
a portal?
Oh.
Look, guys, we're about to start.
Incoming.
We need a fly to start off with.
Well, yeah, but like I have to get up the stairs anyway with Winston.
They're all up top there.
I'm with you.
Got Mercy.
Nice, good job,
Wow,
good job. That's a big pick.
Got a Pharaoh.
Yikes, those jumps.
Pharah's right side.
I took Orisa
The
down.
roadblocks.
Now, so they had Orisa and a Moira next to each other, and you called out Orisa instead. Really should call out the Moira instead.
So Orisa, yep.
Orisa dead, Orisa dead. Are we on payload? Are we on payload? Get on payload. Genji
slow.
dead, Genji dead, Genji dead.
Where's
So instead of like calling out that the targets are dead, call out the targets first.
Hold on there, Mercy.
Like calling out their targets being dead, not as helpful as calling out where their targets are and who they need to be on. Oof. Winston, you really need to work on your jumps.
Oh, they hooked me. Oh, no,
sorry,
he
bro.
hooked me. That's fine. It's fine, I'm still alive. Oh, the Moira's with me. Yeah, Moira's down. Okay. You're missing one too.
So you guys are playing dive, but you're not really diving anything. I think your Winston kind of is diving, but you guys aren't. Dive isn't going to work unless you guys dive together. And then to dive together, you really have to call out who you're diving. The point of dive is not to get to point A to point B faster. It is really to dive on a certain target and be unexpected.
Off the map.
So you're playing Winston and Diva. Make sure you guys communicate with each other who you're diving, and then make sure both of you guys dive the same target and finish off that same target. And the pointer here is Winston will dive much faster than Diva. So if you guys are going to play dive, make sure Diva dives in first and then Winston follows. So it helps to count down your dives as well.
Off field.
I'm on backlines on Genji.
There's a Mei on the
The May's
far.
on me.
I'm on their Mercy, I'm on their
Oh,
Mercy.
she's one.
I'm low.
Dead, dead.
Moira's on me, Moira's on me.
I'm gonna switch to replay.
So I would turn around and jump back.
I need to get
So you guys are down a couple of healers.
Oh, fuck. I'm dead.
Okay. I think we just need to reset.
So tanks, you really need to be more aware of who's alive on your team and recognize that and fall back to them.
Alright, I'm ready when you guys are.
Can we pick up this Genji?
Genji's on me.
Yeah, Genji
Yeah,
dead.
good
Nice.
pick, good pick.
Nice, nice.
Let's go, let's go.
Get that Mei.
Oh, fuck. Fucking hook.
Oh my god, he's so low.
Winston, make sure you call out that you're going to use your ult so the team is prepared to push the payload.
Nice.
Oh, please.
And make sure you stagger that Mercy too.
I don't have to walk from the other spawn.
I think
Gonna
most
try
of
to
them
get
would
Mercy.
You're right. I'm gonna sit on the payload. I guess.
Got
Oh, no,
Mercy.
hang on. I'll come help you with the rest stuff.
I got picked though
Mercy
by
dead, nice.
Soldier. I got my ult though.
back on payload.
They're two down. They're two down.
So I don't think you haven't pressed your tab at all.
I'm coming.
It's really hard to tell where your team is sitting at in terms of ults unless it's like in spectator mode.
I'm gonna go behind them.
Oh, fuck. They got a hog up there.
Yeah, just
Now.
fall back. Stay on cart.
I'm coming.
Everyone fall back to cart.
So you're asking.
But I was actually around the corner.
You're kind of telling the team to push back to cart. I don't think you really, I don't think you really need to. You have the team to push forward. You should just push forward,
Orisa.
especially when their team isn't really playing on cart.
He's one.
Where is he?
Behind you, Oblivious.
It's not one, bro.
He
Got him there.
was.
Got him. Yeah, Orisa dead. Nice.
So since you guys have a fair, you should definitely utilize like a pharmacy here.
Keep on payload. Keep throwing payload. Let's get it to point at least.
You guys just capped, you guys just finished a fight. They're not going to respawn anytime soon. Your tanks really need to move forward and make sure you ensure that the team isn't coming back. Because now you're allowing them to come back, and they're just stalling the point longer.
I'm on Genji.
So you really, you can really kill their time by pushing forward and not allowing them to push down towards the cart. So now another fight is won. You guys can't afford to push forward, especially when you're running like a dive here.
It took time to get through the checkpoint thing. It's just a thing it does.
I'm on the soldier. Bad idea.
Careful, Bailey.
That's right.
Luckily, you're getting ult super fast though.
Fucking hell, that soldier-
I'm on their Honor. Honor's dead. Honor's dead. They got no Honor.
Soldier's one.
So that was perfect. If you just like you dove in the back and you got like rid of their healer, that's the perfect situation for a dive.
Nice, we got him off point. Got him off point.
It's perfect move forward because their team is completely staggered. Just ensure that cap here.
I'm on their Honor.
Genji got Renner, Genji got Nano.
I'm asleep.
Yeah, Honor's dead.
Perfect. Ana first and then everyone else.
I'm on the Moira.
There's Wrecking Ball on point.
And the D.Va. D.Va's just got it. Yeah.
I knocked her off point. Stay on it. Stay on it.
Yeah,
Nice,
GG,
good win.
guys.
Very good, guys.
You have to win free.
Works for an
I'm
internet
also-
company.
You want to defend us, right? Switch your internet.
He would have. Yeah, probably.
Any trans-
Before.
I can,
What?
go. Right? Wait.
Coach.
So, I don't know. Unless they have someone drop.
Why do they take so long to start?
I don't know.
Retarded.
Like, you can start it basically immediately, so.
I'll go Ryan.
Alright.
No, Ryan, every time.
So again, we're playing two main healers. Not to say that's not good, but you knew like they've been playing Genji in the past too, and you guys have died several times to a Genji ult. It's really beneficial if one of you guys go Zen just for the to trans that out.
Like,
You're also running two main tanks, which is questionable. You're running two main tanks, but there's really no reason to have two shields up. It's better off if you go one off tank and one main tank. Just because if you play an off tank, it just provides more damage and more counter to whatever they're playing.
they even do have enough damage to beat you, like, they still could get through my shield.
Need to make sure as soon as you get Nano, you need to use it really quickly.
You know, the problem is that they're probably going to try and
Not
dive on
really
us, so
quickly.
fuck you, right,
Don't
they
feel
were-
forced to use it, but if you need to use it, use it.
Yeah, like I'll wait for the closest team fight.
Don't like get your ult and then be like, oh, gotta ult someone.
Yeah.
Just don't hold it for the whole game.
If you want to do that, Nano me.
Or me.
No, just me.
For me.
How about I
Nice,
fucking
mate.
Nano myself? You
You
greedy
can't.
You can, can't you?
No.
Time the deathmatch, you can.
Only in deathmatch.
Wait, you
I
can
was
do that?
joking, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
deathmatch.
deathmatch. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know you could.
What? So you just gonna have a wasted Nano ult?
It used to be like that.
I imagine that
Just
they're
gonna
going to try
sit
and dive
here
on
and
us.
watch and see whether they've got a widow or not.
Where are you setting up your trap?
I'm probably gonna do it right.
See, I noticed on one of the Overwatch World Cup things, they put their trap literally like a centimeter off this health pack, so they couldn't get it. That was kind of funny. And coming back.
Boys,
Yeah.
we're starting.
Yeah, here we go.
Easy ult charge.
Nothing else.
So I don't think you guys need two shields up. Because right now unless you're like shielding two sides, you don't need to put shield on top of a shield. It doesn't work. And also if you're trying to do a flank charge, make sure you tell your team that you're gonna do it. So they're prepared, because now you're going one versus there's like 4 or 5 here. They all turned around and now you're about to die right here.
Pinned.
Ana's down.
But if you told your team that you're about to charge in, they can actually push through and just ensure that you aren't gonna get killed.
Fine. I'm dead.
So now you're running like two team members less than what you should be running. So you guys are probably gonna lose this point immediately.
There's so many of them.
Now, you need to learn to play selfishly, because that said 1 versus 4. There was almost no way that your Orisa was gonna survive back there, and you're charging in now versus 5, essentially 6 people, right? It's not gonna be worth it, and you're solo halting with no backup. Did you think you were gonna?
Why aren't we?
Were you gonna like somehow survive it, or you're hoping your team was gonna go in there. I don't think your team knew that you were running into there, so you probably either need to communicate that you're going in by yourself and try and stall the point, which I don't think you really need to. Just give it up. Or you need to ask for backup or something. Ideally, you just fall back because you don't need that first point is whatever. The second point is what counts, right?
I'm low, I need heals.
Oh, you're kind of overextending now. You're just a little bit feeding here. Both your tanks are feeding a bit here.
He's out of mech.
I'll go in for the next fight.
My shield's going down really quick.
Oh my god. How much fucking charge does she have?
She's full.
Holy shit.
I got ult, and I sniped that Moira.
Genji. I got pinned. Rip.
Oh, I'm fucking dead here.
You really have to just watch where you're playing extremely aggressive right now.
Hey, Jesus.
No, I killed him with Tyre.
Oh. Is that because I thought the Zarya was gonna follow me and kill me?
Their diva doesn't know that they can eat fire strikes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I threw it
I've
at her,
been
she's
eating every
just
single one,
staring at
so-
her.
David is level 21.
Yeah, but apparently
Oh,
they played
yeah.
console.
Console's trash, remember this.
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure where your Diva's ult is because you haven't pressed tab yet, but you definitely want to communicate that with Diva so you guys can kind of time it better. So you can make sure you shatter in a place where the Ryan can't get to it and it can't hold his shield up, right? You shatter, and then Diva can throw her bomb in at the same time, and then you guys can guarantee some kills and that your bomb will actually kill the entire team without a shield.
I got killed.
It's alright, we killed like 4.
Fuck. Kill it, kill it, kill it.
Nah, damn.
Now who's out there? You guys got to be careful here.
Back, back. Let's go.
I think they got a wrecking ball now. Yeah, they got a wrecking ball.
They
They triple tank.
Got my ult.
They're triple tanking. No, they're not. Don't worry. Oh yeah, they are.
That's triple tanking for them was probably not a right call since you guys are running a Reaper.
I got him blocked in here. Oh no, you got out.
Genji's down.
Did no one like notice what I did?
That's what you're all doing.
I saw the reefer ult in the feed as
And their Hammond is just feeding.
Takes out the whole team while you guys focus on Wrecking Ball.
Malang Genji.
They need to pay attention to me going up top every time.
Reaper's right. I mean,
Oh,
sorry,
they did it this
Genji's
time.
It's good that they know.
I've got ult.
Yo, Zion,
So you can even time your ult with Reaper if he does have it, because then you can shatter and he can drop down and then use his ult on everyone.
I'm looking for an ult here, boys. Matt, you've got yours as well,
Oh,
yeah?
they got a Pharah. Oh, fuck. Okay. Wasn't expecting that.
So this Pharah becomes an issue, then somebody needs to counter the Pharah.
I'm coming.
So we'll just see what happens here.
my ult again.
Guys, there's a Farah take.
I'm gonna switch this
Where
to
is she?
Do not engage, Ryan. You're overextending you. Now you put your Mercy in danger.
Oh fuck.
Someone take that Farah.
Got Moira.
I got their honor.
Fuck, Genji's one, if you can get him.
Where is he?
Rip. Don't worry. Farah left side, look out.
Yeah, make sure you get, if Genji is one and your team isn't there, just make sure you call out where it is. And I don't think that shatter was really necessary there, since they had one person on there.
See, remaking it.
Come on.
Stagger.
So I don't think their team has really used much alts, but you just used shatter, so I'm hoping like their team doesn't come back with like some alts use. We don't have a counter yet for their Pharah, so usually like I think Junk or Reaper, one of you guys would need to switch to like a soldier to help out.
was horrible.
Is that yours?
How did that hit
No,
me?
that was his.
Oh fuck. I'm
Somebody's overextending there.
not gonna be able to get out of this.
Oof.
Oh, that was bad. That one was bad.
I
It
got,
was
I got
mine.
the team to like fall off onto me though, so
Yeah, make sure you call out your shatters.
yeah.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Get back, guys. Just get back. Take away.
I'm gonna go soldier now.
Your shatters are only really as good as what your team can take advantage of it, so you definitely want to make sure you communicate your ults.
We have a bunch of ults.
Ours left.
I'm gonna see if I can get him.
He's low. He's low. He's low.
Now, since you guys are not running a defensive ult either, you guys really have to be careful of this barrage and know that it's coming pretty soon.
I'm going left.
Nice, 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 nice.
Good, you got their healer.
I got Mura.
I'm
I
the
got
other
Mura.
healer. They're gonna have to fall back.
It's-
I got their run.
Don't kill the
pushing.
diva. Make her remac. Oh, never mind.
Okay, fall back, guys. Fall back, fall back, fall back, fall back. You two up the front, fall back.
We have a
Still
bunch of
have a
ults for
switch
the next
now.
push, so it's good.
You got so fucking low there, John.
Oh, I got dead. I got
Oh
dead.
fuck.
Give me a
Oh
res.
damn, that sucks.
I got their Pharaoh. Ah, you
Got their Ana.
bitch with your
Their Ana's
fucking
down.
shield.
I have an nano for
Alright, sorry about that.
We're just stalling right now.
You guys are not calling out targets. Again, there's only like 2 or 3 people on there. Make sure you guys call the targets out. You guys really need to also switch to stall heroes. So like Ryan, it's not like your alt is really available right now. You switch to like Hammond or Winston.
I died.
You guys want to just make sure you're stalling for time because they've got 0 time right now, right? So like somebody needs to go Lucio, somebody needs to go
They got healing.
Moira, Tracer, any stall heroes right now would be fine. And you guys, since you guys are not calling out any targets at all, so it's really like everything's just kind of like random right now.
Nice.
It's really not beneficial for the team.
Good pin.
Keep fighting.
Oh, I
guys,
got
keep going.
counterpinned.
Make sure you guys stay on the point though.
Keep contesting.
This Genji's gonna kill me here.
This Genji killed me.
I can stall. Oh, what the hell? Just blinked into a pin.
Keep stalling if we can.
Lucio, make sure you learn to ride those walls. You can ride the walls up top right up here, and you can really stall time because it still counts it as you being on point.
Oh, so over time that's
So at least you guys wound down the time to 0 though. Yeah, that was a really good hold on the second point.
goats, but with Tracer. 3 heals, 2 tanks, 1 Tracer. Actually, what do you think will work better with Hanzo? Will be better, won't it?
Do you have someone else that could play after this? Because
So you guys are running goats. Goats does not mean play a DPS though. Goats is 3 tanks and 3 healers. And the reason why that is so that you have sustainability. You're running 3 tanks so that you guys can stay alive longer. You're running 1 DPS. It kind of is just like a handicap, a little bit of a handicap on the team. So you want to make sure if you're running goats, you're in 3 tanks. So maybe like Ryan, Zarya, and Hog, right? And then your healers would be Moira, Lucio, and Brigitte. And in Lucio, you would just straight up be on speed boost the entire time. The only, like, you would only want to be on heals if you absolutely needed it. But you just trust that your Moira and your Brigitte will do all the healing.
Do you want me to play Lucio?
If you want, man. I don't. Yeah, it could work. Yeah, no, that's fine. Because we're running triple support anyway, so.
So what'd you say could work?
So you guys are running this right now. Just make sure you guys are balled up. That's the whole point of goats as well, as you guys are playing as a ball and you're death balling straight through the point.
One day we'll get it all right.
Oh, I got jump. He's gonna melt from my shield pretty quick.
It's alright.
So make sure if you're throwing a bubble onto Ryan, just you tell him that bubble's on him so he can put down his shield.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just keep going. Take high ground.
We're all here. We're all here.
Alright.
Alright, let's go. Let's go.
Let's
Drop.
go, let's go.
Junk's backing out because he's low.
Fuck.
I'm on their honor. I'm on their honor.
I got hooked.
The honor's nearly dead. Oh fuck.
So make sure you call out where the Ana is if you're on her.
On me.
Then the team is not paying attention to that.
Go hog.
Nice drop. Nice drop.
Drunk.
Go junk.
So now you guys won the fight completely. Not you guys are all still standing here. You like maybe half or like all of you guys need to move forward and just have one person on here.
She got insta kill before she could do it.
Everybody needs to move out because now you guys could have probably capped that a little bit faster.
Do we want to go up mid? Straight up mid.
Yeah, might as well. Let's go straight mid.
I'm 70%
No, they got 2
charged.
shields.
If you can break that shield, I got
I've nearly got my ult.
Definitely call out some targets here, guys.
Get this Ryan. Get this Ryan. He's so.
Wait, is it Ryan?
No, leave the Ryan.
Ryan,
Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Get on site. Get him.
This is gonna be a reset. Half of your team is gone.
No.
Half of your team is gone. You need to get out.
Did I save you, Hanzo?
Nah, I don't.
Run back out, back out. that is back up.
Just get our ults.
They got triple tank.
Yeah, you guys have so much time right now to kill. Just make sure you guys reset like faster.
Alright, let's go.
They don't really have anything to deal with Vafara. We could get one ourselves.
Here, Lucy, you need to be staying on speed boost here.
We'll grab.
I slept.
You don't need the heals right now.
I need to let it recharge.
Yeah, bro. Do we want to go left side into left room?
Yeah.
Got Ana? Ana's gone.
So Zari, make sure you tell the team that you are high charge so that the heals kind of stay on you. You want to stay at hard charge as long as you possibly can.
I'm nearly got grab, I'm nearly got grab. I'm dead, I'm dead.
Oh fuck. I missed a charge.
Nice, good dragon, good dragon.
Go Zarya.
Noera.
Really?
Let's go, let's go.
Good job waiting for your teammate Lucio.
Nice.
Eva's over here by herself.
They don't have healers? No healers?
Charging Dragon Ball.
Just make sure you just say bubbles on you, bubbles on you.
Yeah, he didn't charge anyone.
I've nearly got grab, I can grab them off point.
Stay on this point.
I missed him.
So I saw you recognize that Ana was alive, and I'm glad that you didn't go for the Ryan, but make sure you say that you're gonna go for Ana, and that everybody needs to be targeting Ana right now.
They grabbed off point, kill everyone on point.
No, it's me. It's me.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yo, get this Lucio. Lucio.
You need to call out the targets, guys.
There's Moira as well.
I'm on his hammer.
D-mech, D-mech.
Junkrat.
Junkrat.
Junkrat's dead. Nice.
Good kill, good pick, good pick.
Yeah, just stay on their points. Just have half the team go on the other side of the point, where their spawn is, and then the other team go on the other side just to prevent them, like body block them from coming out.
Too easy.
Do we want to just bunker down on point then?
I say we just.
Oh,
did
we're
the
attack,
same
we're
thing
attack.
we just did.
We're attack.
No, it's just the same thing.
Just do the same thing, yeah.
Because all they could literally do there was just stall.
It wouldn't.
The other reason why you also would want to go hog too is just because he can heal himself, so like that's less pressure on your healers to kind of heal him in a goat situation.
You ain't taking that shit from me.
God healing's almost 13.
Second time of having.
Fuck, I've got a bad
Please.
inspire.
We'll go straight up to right, up the top again.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay.
Make sure we get around that corner.
A good call on saying where you guys are going to go beforehand.
I wouldn't be surprised they're going to run a Bastion.
No, they
I
got
don't
a
think so.
Pharaoh.
Oh,
Popping
okay.
it.
Go, go, go,
We'll
go,
roll
go.
up again.
Oh, they're all up top, top. They got wrecking ball. Keep going, keep going, keep
I
going.
got trapped.
Don't get
Oh,
distracted. Don't get distracted.
Protect Lucio. Protect Lucio.
Yeah, go, yeah,
Keep
go,
going,
yeah.
keep going, keep going, keep going.
Keep
Everyone up,
pushing,
everyone up,
keep
everyone
pushing,
up.
Genji's
Go,
one.
go, 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 go.
three.
Another speed boost,
Yeah.
another speed boost.
Go, go, go.
Jump straight down,
Straight on the
straight
point, straight on the point.
Got Pharaoh.
This is where target calling is essential here.
Let's get Moira.
They're Ryan.
Moira.
They're Ryan's dead. Ryan's dead.
Good job.
I need heals. Someone.
Get that Genji, get that Genji.
Amping it, amping it. You almost got first.
The wrecking ball.
Just wrecking ball.
I'm trapped.
I pushed him off. Almost.
Nice, just keep body blocking him. He can't build up speed.
It's one.
Nice, 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 nice.
Now you push forward because since you guys have that top point basically. Good job, guys.
Ooh, boy.
So, the couple of things that I noticed, and I've mentioned a lot in this video, is that you guys need to work on your target calling, right? You guys are very focused on your individual targets, and then when you guys do end up calling targets, the only time you ever call them is if they're dead, or they just died, or that you are on them, but then nobody else is actually on them. So you got to make sure you be aggressive and say that you are working on that, that you need the team to all be on a certain target. The other thing is the entire team really needs to work on ult, paying attention to ults within their own team, and you guys also need to kind of pay attention to the ults on their team, right? So I need you guys to press tab more so you can kind of see where the alts are sitting at, especially when that's implemented. I mean, before it wasn't implemented, so there was an excuse not to do that, but there really isn't an excuse not to do that anymore. You guys can see each other's alts and the timing of it. Make sure you do that so you can definitely like discuss combinations and have a better idea of who should be using alts versus who shouldn't be using alts. Also keep track of the other team's alts. And that's really kind of more of the supports should kind of figure that out as well. For your supports, I really want you guys to work on just keeping track of their alts. You're gonna have to make like a prediction, and you can do that pretty well by staring at your own alts bar. Just assume that, you know, if the team is losing to another team, that they probably have a better alt charge than you do right now. You really have to just keep track of that and just announce that, hey, Genji hasn't used his alt yet, so like watch out for his blade or something. The other thing is that you guys are staggering a lot. I've noticed. Just make sure the tanks. Make sure you guys kind of stare behind you and pay attention to the kill feed. You don't want to stagger. You guys got really lucky and won these games, but if you guys are playing in a harder matchup, that's going to be like detrimental if you don't actually pay attention to that and you're just staggering. You guys always start staggering when it's like when they have a lot of time, and you don't want to do that. You're just giving them ult charge and you're just giving them time. Your point is that you want to just regroup and go in as a full 6. That's really it for this video. A good way to help with the target calling is an exercise that I like to kind of work with you guys on, and that's doing like a custom game. In a custom game, if you guys can get more than 6 people on, if not and you have just 6, separate your team into 3 versus 3 then. One team will be in charge of, say these are your 2 teams, right? One team will be the shot calling team, and the other team will be just like a regular team. The team that's in the regular team, not the shot calling team, will play heroes like Tracer, Genji, and Lucio. And the shot calling team can play DPS, healer, and tank. The shot calling team really just has to work on calling out the target and then figuring out which of the 3 they need to prioritize. And these 3 people, Tracer, Genji, and Lucio, your goal is not to kill this team, it's just to be annoying as heck. So what I would do is just go around them, bug them, try to not be catchable as much as you can, and don't be in the same like chat channel or voice, whatever, as each other, so that you guys can really communicate and figure out like who you guys should be targeting down. Once you guys can kind of get the hang of it, switch it up so the other team can practice the same thing as well. That's all I have for you for this one. I'm going to take a look at your other video now. Well, I'll have it uploaded tomorrow, but this one's up now, so I hope this was helpful.